Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. We cover everything Major League, from spring training to the World Series. We've got your favorite club covered, from New York to Boston to LA. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Jeff Malinoff, and with me, as always, is Mark Souza. We got some new rule changes that are potential rule changes to talk about in the world of baseball, as there's been some recommendations of what to happen in the future. And also, there have been some mystery bidders for Harper, and we'll talk about maybe who those mystery bidders are. We still don't know yet. We maybe know, but we really don't know. And anything else that's happened in baseball, probably not a lot, we'll talk about. But we'll talk about the rule changes first, since those are the ones that we actually... Potential rule changes. You got to put in potential.
Potential. You're using air quotes. Potential.
Well, we don't know if they're actually going to go through or not, so they're actually potential.
Yes, that is very true.
So the first one I want to talk about is the 3-batter minimum rule. And we saw this a lot during the, from the Brewers, is they have one guy pitch one batter, and then he gets subbed out for somebody else. And that's who they plan to actually have start. The kind of a switcheroo type of thing. But this new rule has a pitcher must have pitch to at least three batters before being removed.
So that is at any point, right? Like that's just a that's just a relief pitcher, like in the 7th inning would be the same.
As far as I know, as far as the rules are being added onto it, that's their
it's a minimum for all pitchers. I see. Yeah. That's an interesting rule.
Maybe I think it could also, maybe they can maneuver it and make it just for starting pitchers. That would make more sense. It might be just for starting pitchers. I'll look more into it.
I think it's for all. I think it is along the lines of speeding up the game, which would mean the 7th, 8th, 9th type of innings, right? Where they don't want 7 relief pitchers used in 2 innings or something like that.
And we've seen that multiple times.
Oh yeah, we see that,
especially in the playoffs.
I mean, that's a strategy, right? Like, it's all about the matchups, right? You want to, get a lefty on a lefty, a righty on a righty, and so
absolutely.
And so
this is definitely going to change a lot of people's schemes when it comes down to major games, especially in the playoffs. This is, I think, going to affect the playoffs more than anything else, because the fact we see that so often in the playoffs, one pitcher per batter, like in a late game. Because there's no tomorrow in certain situations.
Yeah, what's your opinion on this? It will speed up the game. I mean, I think we can agree on that. But do you sacrifice that for, to change the strategy of baseball? Because that's where the argument is, right? Like, what do you give up to change the game?
And reading into the idea of this, it is all pitchers, just to be clear. And with that, I say it's going to affect a lot of what managers do with relief.
What if the pitcher's hurt?
Nope, you got to pitch. One pitch, he blows out his arm, elbow shattered, and he goes, you got to pitch 2.
I mean, it sounds silly what I'm saying, but can't you see a team taking advantage of this role by saying, like, oh, I hurt my arm?
Like a fake injury.
Yeah. Who's to say, like, you're not hurt?
That is a very good point. But I think it would be more along the lines of, like, then they would make this rule of where unbiased medical personnel would go onto the field to see if these actually hurt.
Right. But you see what I'm saying? Like, even if you're a doctor,
there's loopholes. Let's put it
this way: if you're a doctor, and I'm a pitcher, you come on the field to check my arm out because I'm telling you that I don't like something's wrong. Okay,
right?
You can't just sit there on the field and just diagnose me.
We need portable MRI and X-ray machines.
Exactly. That stuff takes time. So logically speaking, obviously that won't happen. We're paused for MRI delay because that will take that would defeat the whole purpose of this rule, right? To save time. So what's to say if you're a doctor,
okay,
and I come to you? Even let's just take baseball out of it. Let's just say you're an actual doctor in a doctor's office, and I say, Dr. Malinoff,
yes,
there's something wrong with my elbow. You do the test, you grab my arm, you feel around, whatever. You're looking for my ligaments. You're like, well, everything structurally seems fine, and I say yes,
but it still hurts.
But like every time I throw the ball, it hurts, and I don't know.
Tightens up or something of that nature.
You know, right here is where the pressure is, or whatever, right?
Yeah. You would obviously have to go through some tests, and MRIs and X-rays.
You could see teams and players taking advantage of this rule because there's no way for you to just they can't diagnose everybody on the field.
Yeah, true. But I think that would lead to fines as well because of suspicion of that's complete. Like the league would say that's complete crap and fine them. I think that's where that would draw the line. But again, like you're saying, that is a major loophole that like if the fine is like $25,000, they're gonna be like, okay. Then the fines will increase in the millions, at that point. So then we get to a point where like this loophole will be so exploited that it'll be an epidemic. But again, maybe this 3-batter rule should only be like maybe during the regular season, or maybe limited to the postseason, one way or the other.
Yeah, maybe it's just
because I don't think people mind how long games are in the postseason rather than the regular season. So maybe make it for the regular season.
Yeah.
Because I feel like maybe the postseason and regular season should have different regulations.
It will change. I'll tell you this. That rule, if that were to change, would change baseball a lot because
a lot of managers,
how many pitchers do each team have on a roster who are literally a one pitch or a one
for one batter specifically?
Yeah, like this left-handed power hitter, this is my left-handed pitcher, submarine pitcher, something like that. This is literally the only player
there's
that
at least like 2 or 3.
Yeah, and it's like literally there's only 1 or 2 players that this guy could pitch. It'll eliminate like how teams build their rosters.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it would change up a lot of what managers usually do in those scenarios. They would have to change up game plans they've been doing for decades.
It would really benefit that pitcher who could pitch with both hands.
The switch pitchers?
Yeah.
Those are continuing to get. There are more and more players that actually can do that now. So
that would make them
high commodities,
valuable. Yeah,
absolutely.
Piece.
The question is, how can they pitch if they're bad at pitching one of the sides? That would be a serious issue because some guys are like, I can pitch both, but I'm more comfortable with one hand. What about how
I saw this last year in baseball? You know how I think the Brewers did it. I know the Oakland A's did it too. But there are a couple circumstances where, let's say a team put in a left-handed pitcher in relief. He faces the left-handed batter. He gets him out. And then the next batter that goes up is a right-handed batter. But the one after the right-handed batter is also a left-handed batter. So the team that's pitching doesn't want to take out the lefty, so they move him to the outfield for one batter. They bring in another relief pitcher, and then they put that outfield pitcher back to pitch the third. I saw that a couple times last year. That did happen.
I understand that.
So you don't waste a move. You don't waste. It makes a lot of sense if you can stick.
That
also
shows like no trust in your lefty. By the way, I understand what they're going for, but that shows also no trust.
You keep 2 pitchers on the field because now you just keep the matchup without burning another pitcher. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, in theory, yes.
So how would that work? Is what I'm
pretty sure that would just be completely illegal now. I'm assuming. Once a guy pitches and he's removed from the pitcher's mound, he's not allowed to pitch again. I believe that will be the rule in theory.
So what is your take on this rule change?
After
you've had a minute to kind of process it and look at it from a couple different angles, would you say that this is something that they should do or should not do?
Well, the thing is, I understand what the league is trying to do because of the fact that was very controversial what the Brewers did during the postseason game where they had the pitcher pitch legitimately one batter, and then the next thing was a different-handed pitcher, and the whole thing was changed. They really messed with the lineup of the opposing, I believe it was the Dodgers, if I'm not mistaken, it was the NLCS. But I think this should just be the rule for the regular season to make the games go quote-unquote quicker. But when it comes to the postseason, I think those rules should be a little more loosened just due to the fact because those games are a lot more riding on it, one-game scenarios. And I don't think people mind the length of those big-time playoff games than they do in the regular season. So maybe they should just keep that rule for the regular season and have it not for the postseason. That's how I think they should do it.
Yeah.
But if they do go through with this and this makes it a real rule, it would be for both regular and postseason.
I understand again. Yeah, I see why this has come up.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for ways to, because we all know the end of baseball games, the last 2 or 3 innings can be just as long as the first 6 or 7. Innings,
yeah. How many times pitchers change and they have to warm up? Absolutely.
They go to commercial and
yeah,
all that. You get and it's pinch hitters too. You get pinch hitters, pinch runners, relief pitchers coming in. But honestly, Jeff, I think I wouldn't mess with this rule. I would not add it. I wouldn't even add it for the regular season, to be completely honest with you. I understand they're looking to make baseball quicker, faster, but at the end of the day, it's 162 games. And I think that's what is the bigger part here. It's not so much that baseball games are long. It's the season is long, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you adjust the season,
maybe 17-game season. Got it.
But I mean, I know that you're being ridiculous, but what you're saying is legit though. Like in the NFL, every game means so much, right? Like if you lose a football game, and you see what the fans too. If your team loses on Sunday, you're like, oh my God, our season, we're not making the playoffs. And then you win the next week. Oh my God, we're making the playoffs! Like everything rides on every game.
Major mood swings.
Because it's true. There's only 16 games. Each game means so much. It's a big part of your season.
Absolutely.
In baseball, you can lose 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6 games in a row. Still win 100 games. No big deal. It'll happen. The Red Sox will go up and down. They'll have stretches. It's just the nature of the beast, right? Like it's baseball. You play every day, so you're going to have the roller coaster type of season that everybody will go through it. And I think maybe if you eliminated games, that might change the interest a little bit more, focusing on each game meaning a little bit more. I don't know if the average fan really cares, because I think that most baseball fans who watch the games every day don't care about how long the games are.
Yeah, understandable.
Like the average, like the fan, because like if you watch baseball every day, that means you're a real fan. You're not what's on TV? Oh, I'm going to flip through. Oh, the Yankees are on. I'll check it out. It's like, no, the Yankees are playing the Blue Jays. They're playing at 5 o'clock. You're going to watch it because that's what you do on a Tuesday. That's just my opinion. But we'll see. What are the other rules, though? I'm excited to hear about some of this other stuff.
Okay, we'll talk about the universal designated hitter has been proposed.
I feel like this is a topic since the DH was entertained initially and implemented by the American League. So they're talking about adding it for both leagues. Is that it?
Yes. I'm assuming that's what they mean by universal.
So what do you say?
Or they mean for different planets. Either one.
Mm-hmm. So like in the World Series? Get it?
Aliens start coming down.
Which it's always been funny to me. They
the
call
Universe
the World
Series? Oh, the Universe Series.
I have a problem with them calling it the World Series.
Because it's not like a World
It's just the United States Series, right? Or the North American.
So what it should be, the Super Series or...
Well, it's not the World Series because the world doesn't participate.
Mm-hmm. True.
Right? Like Japan doesn't get to play,
So should they make the Major League Baseball a worldwide?
It's very
league?
Arrogant to name it the World Series. Like whoever wins this game or this series is the best in the universe.
Hate to tell you, but they're not changing that for a long ass time. I'm sorry, they're never going to change it.
I understand.
It's been around since 1890s.
Do you think it's kind of arrogant though? I mean, just be honest.
A little bit, but it's like the Super Bowl.
Like the World Cup in soccer actually is the World Cup. Like every team participates. Like every country participates.
Okay, the NFL has the Super Bowl. What makes it so super?
Because it's a super league and it's super fun.
So okay, that's arrogant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every championship name to it has an arrogance to it.
But the World Series, even though it's just specific to this one area.
NBA have world champions, and it's not world.
I agree. It's you win the NBA Finals, you're the world champs. Wait, what?
Yeah. Well, technically, their reason is, they have a team in Canada, so it's a global thing, even though it's literally 2 miles from the United States.
Yep.
Not literally. I hate when people do that, but whatever.
So designated hitter, are you for it in both leagues or not?
I honestly would prefer just pitchers who rake.
The pitchers to hit, man.
I love the pitchers who rake. That saying will be gone forever. We'll never see.
You should have to play offense and defense. You have. I believe this. You have to do. It's a game.
So you don't like Edgar Martinez, do you?
But Edgar Martinez would have played on the field if he had to. They just took advantage of the rule because they're smart. But I mean, let's be honest, Jeff. What if basketball had a rule where you take off one defensive player and then add in a 3-point shooter on every possession.
That's a good point.
And I know it's a different game. I know people are like, that's a different sport. Like, I get it. But it's just like baseball, you should have to catch the ball, throw the ball, run to first. I mean, what's next? Like, are you going to get a designated hitter that only hits, but then he has a pinch runner? You know, like somebody who's...
A designated runner?
Yeah, the person that stands next to home plate. And when
Willie
the ball
Mays Hayes would love that.
Somebody who stands next to home plate when the ball is hit, a different person runs. Like, that's kind of what a designator feels like to me in a different sense, because he doesn't go on the field. He just hits the ball. And I don't know. I like pitchers that hit because they pitch. They should have a chance to bat as well. And I get it. We want home runs. We want more runs scored. Okay, but, you know, I don't know. Like, it just feels like to me the 9 players on the field should be the 9 players that hit.
But sometimes you also look at how the pitchers hit, and it's borderline embarrassing.
It could be a tremendous advantage, though, for the ones that can hit, right?
Yeah.
Clayton Kershaw, very good hitter. Madison Bumgarner, very good hitter. When those pitchers are hitting, their teams have an advantage, not just in what they're doing throwing the ball, but hitting the ball. Zach Greinke, another good hitter. You know, these guys put the ball in play. They can bunt. They can move the runners over. They can hit for power. I don't know. That's just me. What's another rule? 20-second pitch clock?
Yes, the pitch clock was one of the big ones.
I'd rather do that one than the relief pitcher one, the minimum relief.
The 3-1?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I
think
get that.
Makes more sense.
But, again, these are all offered to the players' union. So, again, this leads to the fact that, like, what would they prefer? If
I
you're
don't
a
think
player,
anybody would be... Would a player be upset about the 20-second pitch clock?
I don't think so.
There are some pitchers that really milk that thing. I will tell you that.
True. I think there would be, like... I think there won't be a majority of players that wouldn't like it, but I think there would be a small group.
A 20-second pitch clock makes sense because I feel like when you're a hitter, like you know how hitters take time because pitchers take too long. Like it takes, it kind of takes that delay aspect out of the game.
And then the players call time, and then it's like another 20 seconds. You're like, oh,
yeah.
But then would that 20 count clock? Would that affect like players being allowed to call time? Would there be a limit of times you can do?
Maybe
per at bat.
Now, I'll say this. I've seen this 20-second pitch clock in person.
Yes, you said you went to a minor league game.
Yeah, AAA does it, which makes sense because, you know, AAA, they don't want kids out there for 4 hours.
Let's be honest. That's always a test run for all the rules. Every rule has been tested.
And I think it's interesting. I will say that it is a little bit distracting. I do find myself looking at the clock, right? Like it's like you're watching a shot clock in basketball. When your team has the ball, you're like, okay, well, you got to shoot. Well, it's like you're watching the pitcher, and you're like, all right, well, he's got to get in his rhythm. But I think that it was – so I don't go to a lot of minor league baseball games, but I've seen this 5 or 6 times, and never did I see it like a pitcher charge with the ball. Like it was like loosely. It was like you know in soccer, the goalie gets 6 seconds to do something with the ball after he catches it, but like it's really – like they take 10 seconds and no one calls it. It's only when the goalie is like, okay, like it's been 15 seconds, I'm actually calling the foul now. It's one of those rules that I felt like it was.
So it's not like the NFL where as soon as it hits 0, boom, penalty.
It's like the speed limit. It says 65. It says 65, but you know you're not getting ticketed unless you're like over 75. You know, like if you're 70 and you get ticketed, you're like, dude, I was doing 70. Are you really going to write me a ticket?
But
technically, you're over.
Also, if you're in the left lane, especially in California, where it's like the fast lane, they really allow it till let's get to honestly like 85.
Yeah,
probably.
Technically, you're over. But it's the spirit of the rule rather than the letter
and
of
also,
the rule.
it's also like how reckless you're driving with that speed and how you're putting others in. It's all about putting others in danger. That's really puts and with the pitch clock. Obviously, it's not putting anyone in danger. But I understand both sides to it. One, some guys do need that long to set up, and it's just that's one of those things. And with this play clock, obviously some players would complain, but I think it's better to improve the game like that. I think it will go a lot better. So I think overall that I would like this rule. I would think it would work. And obviously, like it would like in 2017, the average game was like 3 hours and 8 minutes, and that's a long time. So like adding a play adding like a pitch clock in theory would probably put maybe 2 hours and 45 minutes even because of how long some players take, and adding like the DH and adding the 3 batter minimum rule would have that to 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Adding the DH would probably lengthen games for sure, right? Because usually pitchers are easier outs, so they're like quicker, right?
Mm-hmm.
So adding a DH it will obviously be a tougher at bat, so it might be more pitches, might be more players getting on base, extending the inning. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of interesting to think about. What's another rule?
There's one about limiting mound visits. So we did this last year. They tried to do this. I think they're trying to do it again to limit it. But I also understand this because there is a lot of mound visits.
Yeah.
They get out of hand, I understand. In 2018, actually, it went down from 3 hours, 8 minutes to 3 hours, 4 minutes. So I think they're trying to get down to under 3 hours. That's my guess, at least.
Yeah.
And with these rules, I can see that happening.
There's some other rule changes, but should we take a break first? Or
sure, we can take a break. When we get back, we will talk about these more rule changes. But first, I want to talk to you about investing, because when investing and planning for your retirement, it's always best to get advice from the experts. Best-selling author Harry Dent, America's #1 economist, says the dark window is open. There's an opportunity to rapidly boost your retirement savings for the greatest stock market crash in American history. But this dark window won't be open for long. You can make up to 10 times the annual average stock market gain in just a few short months. Find out more by going to www.harrydentforecast.com. There's a very short time to take advantage of this dark window. So once again, you want to take advantage, go to www.harrydentforecast.com to learn more.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast. We are talking about the new rules that are being proposed. And another one is, well, we were talking about the NBA draft lottery in the sports podcast, how that has been affected. Now we're talking about how the baseball draft might be affected for really helping teams that are actually winning and for the tank teams getting penalized. Do you have more info on that?
No, I don't know what the actual rule would be, but I did see that is something that the league is looking into in terms of.
I think it was like giving the first pick to like the team that like will barely miss the playoffs, rather than giving it to the team that had the most losses.
Yeah, I don't know. There's also a study to lower the mound, so obviously that favor hitters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's also a proposal that would allow 2 sport amateurs to sign major league contracts. So it sounds like this is in response to the Kyler Murray situation, where the A's had to get a special, I guess, option by the league to be able to sign Murray.
Man, what a guy! Like, he's so good at what he does. He's making a rule that's probably gonna be named after him.
Yep. Also, the expansion of rosters to 26 from 25, but there would be a 12 pitcher maximum.
Yep. And with that, it would be interesting. And there's just a lot of these different rule changes that are not just about, like we were talking about before, about not lowering how long the game goes, but it's honestly in the fact of, like, with extending the team to 26 players, like, that gives more guys out of the minor leagues and into the majors opportunities. The lowering the mound, I don't see actually going through with it. I think it's going to be more along the lines of just that's not happening. I think that's too much advantage to players. To hitters, I mean.
It will be. I mean, we'll see. Obviously, these rules are usually made to increase scoring, lower. It's funny, though, because if you increase hitting, you can't make the games faster, right?
Mm-hmm. True.
Because in baseball, if it's a fast game, if it's a quick game, it means that the pitching was really good. It means the pitching was fast. There's a lot of outs, not a lot of big innings, runners on, double plays, things like that.
So you want to if you're like trying to lower the game, you want a pitching battle.
It's just hard. It's hard to do. It's like a contradiction. Like, let's add a DH for the National League. Okay, well that means National League games will probably go a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but now let's add this rule to make them shorter. Okay, so it's like, what's the goal here?
You know what? Screw it. Just have a time limit. If it ends like that, it's a draw. I know that's not going to happen, but it sounds like that's what they kind of want to do.
I actually was thinking about this. I think if they were so concerned about these baseball games lasting a long time, why don't they speed up extra innings? Like, why don't they do the international rule and put a runner on second base? Or why don't they do some sort of thing where the games will probably not go 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 innings?
I think it also goes down to the players' union accepting that as a rule.
But the players' union would probably be in favor of not having 18-hour games or 18-inning games, that lasts 7 or 8 hours, right?
Yeah, but I don't think that's the issue itself, because that rarely does happen, though, because usually it ends in 10, if anything, if it goes to extras.
Sure.
Like, you don't
we'll
see
those...
it
like once or twice a week where a game goes to 14.
Yeah, but I don't think that's that big of a deal.
And then what usually happens, though, it usually screws up the next game, right? Like
pitching-wise, absolutely.
Yeah, it screws up a team for like that week sometimes, because maybe a starting pitcher had to pitch out of the pen, or maybe a lot of times managers, they just want to lose the game instead of playing an extra 3 or 4 innings. They're willing to just be like, you know what?
Again, that adds to the 162 game length. How long that is, how unbelievably long that is. And you got a point on there. Maybe that should, I don't know. I don't think they're going to lose, or they're going to lower the number of games or anything like that, but they're going to do everything they can to avoid that, obviously.
I think that's it on rules. I did want to talk about an interesting story that broke this week on ESPN about a Dodger fan, a woman in California, who died in August as a result of being hit in the head by a batted ball at Dodger Stadium. It was a foul ball, of course, a ball that was line drived over the protective netting, just over it, first base side, struck a woman who had to be taken to the hospital. So she was looked at by medical personnel. She was taken in an ambulance. She did throw up in the ambulance. She did go to surgery for a brain injury, and she ended up dying just a couple days after she was struck. And it's interesting because we didn't really hear anything about this. We didn't hear any. I don't know. I don't even remember seeing the highlights or hearing about it and reading articles. But we definitely did not hear that a woman had died from this until this week.
Mm-hmm.
What was your first thoughts when you heard this news?
Well, first I was surprised this all happened, obviously, and thinking about the family and prayers go out to them. But I was thinking, if this was hidden, I don't think it was hidden in a. I don't believe, I could be totally wrong, but I don't believe it was hidden in a sort of controversy type of way. I think maybe it was to the respect of the family that lost their loved one. Maybe it was their choice to have it not just in public because it was such a difficult time. That's my guess, at least in that circumstance. But again, this is just also a very troubling time. It's a lot of different things going around, so. It's interesting to think about because we really don't know the actual circumstances of why this was not reported as it happened because we really don't know the story. But again, this could be MLB doing a hide it, or the Dodgers trying to hide it, or the family requesting that it's not been out there in the public. But we really don't know the circumstances. There's tons of others. There could be tons of reasons why this didn't become public.
Yeah, it's really sad.
It is really sad. Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
but it is. It does. To me, it just feels like it feels like they're trying to hide this. Dodgers never made a statement. Mm-hmm. Like, they never made a statement about this incident.
I'm just trying to give them the benefit of the doubt also.
Yeah, but it's hard. It's not. I'm not saying it's Dodgers' fault. I mean, they have the netting. Like, they complied with what's going on.
To me, it sounded like it was a freak accident.
No, it is. It is. But, I mean, at the same time, I kind of feel like it's their duty to make an announcement. Not we shouldn't learn about this 5 months later.
But I also have to think, I feel like I just have a gut feeling that the family had something to do with it being so hidden. Maybe they didn't want it to be released or anything like that, just out of respect. But I don't know. That could be wrong on that standpoint, but maybe that's the case. But who knows what the actual circumstances are when it comes down to it at the end of the day.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so I'm not sure if anything will come out of it, but this is the third time that a person has died after being hit by a foul ball in a baseball game. Now, it's 3 times over the last 100 years. So it happened in 1943, 1970, and then just last year. So it doesn't happen often. It's obviously a freak occurrence. And I don't even think that baseball necessarily needs to do anything, change any rules or anything like that, because they do have nets up. But you can't stop every time. Like, the ball is going to hit some people. It just is, unless you want to put glass in between them in the field, right? Like,
I mean, the glass might break, though, in theory.
Or if you want to put a net that goes all the way up, I get it. But then you kind of lose the catching a foul ball aspect of the game, which makes baseball unique to other sports. I'm not saying that is right or wrong. I'm just saying you do have to lose something for a freak accident if they do make a rule change. So, but it just feels funny to me. I feel like the Dodgers dropped the ball on this one. They should have said something publicly after it happened. It's not that they're admitting guilt or anything like that. It's just like, hey, like a PSA, like a public service announcement, like, hey, this happened and we're not running away from this. Just to let you guys know, it's important to always keep your eyes on the field during the game. Even if you're distracted, there's other things going on. It is important to kind of be aware of your surroundings,
So you're saying it's a little suspicious that they let it.
It just seems like a little slimy, like that they didn't just like, hey, this happened and we don't want it to happen again. Rather than, hey, we're just going to let this kind of brush under the rug until somebody says something.
Yeah, this is just a lot of questions unanswered. I think that's just the main part of it.
Yeah. Anyways, I think we should probably take a break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about the latest, what's going on with some of these key free agents. Another team making a run at Harper. We'll talk about that. Aaron Judge had some comments about Harper. We also have an email controversy regarding the Chicago Cubs, I guess you could say. Also, another player that's unsigned that I find interesting and I think could benefit a team. But we'll do that when we return. But before we do that, when investing and planning for your retirement, it's always best to get advice from the experts. Best-selling author Harry Dent, America's #1 economist, says the dark window is open. There is an opportunity to rapidly boost your retirement savings before the greatest stock market crash in American history. But this dark window won't be open for long. You can make 10 times the annual average stock market gain in just a few short months. According to the research of renowned Harvard economist Harry Dent, though, this window could slam shut later this year, and nobody on Wall Street is expecting it. This dark window is something bigger by far than anything he's predicted up to this point, and you can make 10 times the annual average stock market gain. Find out more by going to www.harrydentforecast.com. There's a very short time to take advantage of this dark window, so go to www.harrydentforecast.com to learn more.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast. Finished up with those rules talk and the controversy in LA. Now, we are going to move on to Bryce Harper again because he still hasn't signed.
What? He hasn't signed yet?
Anybody?
What?
I know.
Were you surprised that neither Machado nor Harper signed during Super Bowl weekend? I was.
I just want somebody to sign. Is it too much to ask for one of them to sign?
Surprised. I thought one of them would try to steal the talk of the weekend. Maybe Saturday night.
I want something.
You know why? Because Saturday night, think about this, or Sunday morning, Jeff. If one of them signs, then it becomes a conversation at the Super Bowl party. Like, hey, did you hear about Harper? Did you hear about Machado? And then it creates buzz for Major League Baseball. That's why I really thought one of them was going to announce, they had picked a team.
You expected to be satisfied. You don't deserve to be satisfied if you're a baseball fan.
I just thought it'd be a solid marketing ploy.
Well, nothing happened, and we don't deserve happiness apparently in baseball because we keep getting just no news whatsoever except for rumors of mystery teams bidding for Harper. Like, the biggest news I've seen in the last, let's say week, are the San Francisco Giants are making a last-ditch effort, a last-minute effort to get Harper's to sign, and I think they're meeting sometime this week. But again, they're still meeting. He's still meeting with teams. He hasn't even moved one way or the other. We had to talk about bats that look like Philly colors, for God's sakes. There's a serious issue with why this is taking so darn long.
Yep.
Harper, buddy, I understand this is a big moment for you, and this could lead to hundreds of millions and millions and millions of dollars. Machado as well. Just for the sake of all that is holy, please just make a decision by, let's say, next Wednesday so we have something to talk about.
Aaron Judge said that he would welcome Bryce Harper on the Yankees. Surprise, surprise.
Oh, really? You wouldn't want one of the best players in baseball to come on your team? He said he would. He said Aaron Judge would. Aaron Judge says he'll move to center field for Harper to join. That's some sort of huge sacrifice. I guess he would be terrible in center field, in my opinion. He's not a fielder in any circumstance.
Will we have an end to this story by next Wednesday?
If we were fortunate enough, yes, but we don't deserve this, so no, apparently.
We don't deserve happiness?
Yeah, that's just, I just accepted.
We deserve this life.
I just accepted the fact that they're never going to make a decision, and this is going to go on for decades. This is like what is that one thing that went on for tons of years and just, I don't know, I can't think of anything. It's a drought.
The Simpsons? Oh.
Like a drought of some kind, why aren't they having this happen already, or something like that. I just want something to happen.
It's like the meme with poking the stick. Do something.
Yeah, I've seen that everywhere.
All right, so do you still think? Well, so we saw the Padres talk to Harper last week. It sounded like they were another team. Do you still think that one of these guys signs with the Phillies?
Honestly, I don't know, because there's so many other teams now that are going for them, supposed mystery teams, that I thought it was almost a foregone conclusion that it was going to go to the Phillies. But now I'm like it should have. If he was going to go to the Phillies, it would have been done by now. Because they met with him multiple times already. It would have already happened. He would not be just chilling right now. It would already happened, in my opinion. So I don't know. I just don't know.
You sound defeated.
I just want. It's like
it sounds like you're in crack.
I just want something to go. It's like playing a video game you've played for so long, and you're almost at the end of the game. You're facing the final boss, and you just can't beat him. And you do it for days on end, and you still die at the last second. You have him at 1 health, and you die by baloney circumstances, and you're just like, come on, somebody help me out here.
There's an outfielder that's unsigned that's neither one of these men that I think is pretty good. Adam Jones.
There's over 100 unsigned free agents at the moment.
But Adam Jones, man, he's a name, right?
Pac-Man?
No.
Oh, different Adam Jones?
Yeah.
Got it. I was kidding, first of all. But I just somebody signed so we could talk about it. I'm so dry on ideas.
Adam Jones should be signed soon. I just feel like, it's obviously it's one of those things where Machado and Harper, wherever they sign, it's going to let off like a whole domino effect throughout the league.
See, this is when like the WWE needs to take advantage of this slow start and like the end of football and just do something exciting. They are doing something exciting. It is WrestleMania time in the WWE world, but we won't get into that because this isn't wrestling. I wish it was a wrestling podcast, believe me, but I love baseball too. But we're in the biggest lull in baseball at the moment. This is the most boring baseball it could ever be.
Spring training's right around the corner.
It's in catchers and pitchers report next week, and we still don't have any signings.
Will they sign before spring training? Yes or no?
No, they're never going to sign. Machado's going to be a free agent.
Last year, JD Martinez didn't sign until like the second or third week of spring training.
And Machado's going to go, you know what, I'm going to wait till the All-Star break. And Harper's going to go, you know what, I'm going to wait.
All-Star break.
And you know what, I'm going to wait till the end of the season to make a decision. I'm going to just sit out this season, take a break.
Not having contract sounds fun. Let's do that.
Let's just have them play in like let's say they just go to random teams and just, when Will Ferrell played with every single team in like spring training that one time where he played for every single team?
Yes.
Have Harper and Machado just do that during spring training, see what happens. See what they like about him.
Is Russell Wilson going to go to spring training again this year?
Do I know, probably.
Yankees?
He usually does, doesn't he?
Yeah. So
I would say so. He usually likes to do that kind of stuff.
Will Tim Tebow make a major league roster?
No. Okay. Is he still with the Mets, if I'm not mistaken? He will play at least one game for ticket sales. That's all I'm going to put. That's all I'm going to say.
I think he'll play in Major League Baseball this year.
For ticket purposes. That's the only reason. He's not doing
he did do good last year in the minors.
But no, I'm sorry. He's not going to no.
But yes, of course there is a marketing play to this. Absolutely.
It's nothing. He got signed to a minor league team because of marketing purposes.
But he played well last year in the minor leagues. Like, he had decent numbers.
Yeah, but they're not major league numbers.
Right. They're
not a reason to bring.
Tim Tebow will play in the major leagues this year. That is my prediction.
He's probably going to play in spring training, though. That's probably most likely going to happen.
For sure. But what if he has a good spring training? If he has a good spring, he's going to play in the majors 100%.
Yeah. But again, he has to play a good spring training.
But what if he's just all right?
He's probably going to go back to
He's going to get the benefit of the doubt, though, right? I mean, if you have the chance to put him on the roster and not completely embarrass himself or the club, why wouldn't you do it?
What's the Mets AAA team?
They play in New York. I think are they like Staten Island or Long Island?
Then I could see him playing there. God, I don't even know. I remember last week we did that awesome thing of we had all the AAA teams.
Syracuse Mets.
See, I can see him playing there, but I don't see him. It could go either way. To be completely honest with you, it could go either way. It used to be
the Las Vegas 51s.
I loved that name. First of all, that was one of my favorite team names.
They bought they switched affiliations.
I know. I like that they can switch affiliations, but that was one of my favorite team names currently. Or the Las Vegas 51s was one of my favorites. At the moment, I love the Real Riders, and we've already talked about this. There's the Iron Pigs and all that.
Right now, Tebow plays for the Binghamton Rumble Ponies.
He does play the Rumble Ponies?
Yep.
We talked about
That's
that
the double A.
We talked about that last week, how that was one of the best names, absurd names ever.
The Rumble.
Who wants a Tim Tebow Rumble Ponies jersey?
Rumble Ponies. That's a cool name.
This is where our happiness comes from for baseball fans. The stupid minor league team names that God just lets us smile about.
I still like the Baby Cakes.
That is a name, the New Orleans Baby Cakes. Poor Marlins. I do also like. There are some actually kind of cool names. That the San Antonio Missions. I actually dig that name. You liked the Isotopes, didn't you?
Albuquerque Isotopes.
The El Paso Chihuahuas is my personal like. I love it so much.
Not a big fan of Chihuahuas.
The new Las Vegas team now is the Aviators, which I totally prefer the 51s over the Aviators.
Yeah, the 51s, man.
That was a cool name.
Wait, Vegas changed their name?
This might be a new kind of Las Vegas team, but the Las Vegas team I see here, that's
weird that they didn't. If they changed their name and it wasn't.
Well,
like
the thing is,
related.
the 51 was in the Pacific League, and this one's still in the Pacific League. So I'm assuming this is the name change. Yes, this is the current team because it used to be the Las Vegas Stars. Then they went to the 51s, which we loved. This year they're changing it to the Aviators.
So, we got to talk about the Chicago Cubs email stuff. Unfortunately, Joe Ricketts, father of Chicago Cubs chairman Tom Ricketts, I guess some emails obtained show a lot of racially insensitive conversations, comments, and things of that note between Joe Ricketts and others, apparently. So right now, Tom Ricketts, the chairman of the Cubs, is distancing himself from those comments and from his father, saying that we are aware of the racially insensitive emails in my father's account that were published by an online media outlet. Let me be clear, the language and views expressed in those emails have no place in our society. My father is not involved in any of the operation of the Cubs. I'm trusted with representing this organization and our fans with their respect for people from all backgrounds. These emails do not reflect our culture. We've worked so hard to build at the Chicago Cubs since 2009. What are your thoughts about this? Are we making too much about this, or is this something that needed to be said, I guess?
We're in such a sensitive time, and where I understood where people got offended by it, it wasn't the right thing to say, obviously. And I get it. And yeah, you do need to like own up to it. So they kind of did that, but I felt like he kind of put it more on his father than anything else. Like it was almost like, but he said this. He said things as well, didn't he? If I'm not mistaken.
No,
he didn't. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. But there are one of those instances in where you got to think, okay, I'm in a damage control situation. We got to own up to it, apologize, and that's the best we can do.
Yeah.
You can't escape it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's just it's one of those things, obviously. And it's unfortunate when you have to, I guess, kind of apologize for someone in your family. Like, you know, it's not you that said it, but
our drunk uncle is crazy again. Sorry, guys, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Anyways, though, I think that's our show for today. We're done. Please come back next Wednesday as we discuss the landing spot for Machado and Harper, because one of these men will be signed.
No, they won't. They'll never be signed. We're going to be here forever. We're in an endless time loop, okay?
Signed.
We're in an endless time loop.
It's the first weekend after the Super Bowl. They will be signed. One of them will sign.
We're in an alternate universe where they can never be signed, and we're going to be here forever. So tune us in next week where nothing probably changes. But if they do, I will be the happiest man on earth. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.